things.
I mean,
He is playing Esper Control.
World Series.
Yeah, he did.
Bigger and better is.
It's called more money.
Yeah.
Duh.
4
Augur of Bolas, 1 Obsidian, 1 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Restoration Angels, and a whole bunch of spells. 4 Sphinx Revelation, 3 Supreme Verdict, 2 Jace Architect of Thought, a card we'll come back to in a minute. 3 Think Twice, 4 Azorius Charm, Ultimate Price, Tribute, Devour Flesh, Murder, Dissipate, and Syncopate.
I love splitting your removal spells like that in a Snapcaster deck. Like, it just gives you, like, late game, you just have access to whichever one is best.
Yeah. Which is
for a very small price early, which is that maybe your spells are, like, a little suboptimal, but it's well worth it. Anyway, on the other side, we have the Hoof.
A little bit of reanimation deck here. It's not exactly junk reanimator, because you've got a lot of different things going on here. It looks like is he the full 5?
What?
This reanimation deck that David Skelton's playing. I think is he the full 5 colors?
It says 4 color.
4 color rights? I see
white, green, black, red.
But there's a Hinterland Harbor in play. Mom! Where's his blue cards?
You know, there's no... Is this... What?
Hey, we could be wrong.
Well, I'm looking at his deck list. I don't see Hinterland Harbor.
Alright, we'll get it cleared up. That's alright. Looks like he's playing Bant.
Yeah, this is almost assuredly the wrong deck list.
Yeah. Alright, boys, we'll get it.
I was all excited, too. He's got Greater of Behemoth. And,
yeah, I
want to watch
excited
this
too.
guy play.
Alright, well, we know for sure Tyler Little's on the left. And we will get this cleared up for you guys in a moment. But it looks like he's playing like some sort of Bant deck, as you're going to see a Devour Flesh here off of the Augur of Bolas.
So, when you see Bant, you see Azorius Charms and stuff, you think, you know, either Cuneo Bant, or you think of the Wolf Run Ramp deck, that, or Wolf Run Bant deck, that most of the tour top 8 at the Pro Tour with, but a Gavany Township.
He could be that. He could be that Prime Speaker Zagana Bant.
That's what I was going to say. That's got to be a giveaway that this is not either of those, but rather a more creature-oriented, mid-rangey control deck.
It's not even Dave Skelton. It's not even. That's not even. It's James Scott.
Well, yeah. When we have the wrong deck list, you have the wrong. You know.
Oh.
So this is James Scott, and he is indeed Bant mid-range with Prime Speaker Zagania.
Andrew Schrott would be proud.
Smiters, Restoration Angels, Thrag Tusks, a Sigarda, a couple Prime Speakers, and a couple Angel of Serenities, and then a bunch of Charms. Verdict, Revelation, Farseek, Detention Sphere.
So this is going to be, I mean, we've seen a lot of quick games over the course of this weekend.
We might actually see a game go past turn, say, 7.
Yeah, this is not going to be fast at all. You see Augur of Bolas coming on in.
That is a clock. That is that is the type of matchup we're playing.
TikTok indeed. We might see our first Drown Yarding of the weekend here. As we're
the
going
Benes Invitational card.
As we're going to see James cast a main phase Restoration Angel here. So he's casting a lot of spells on his main phase, which is a little bit... I guess I don't understand why he's casting these on his main phase.
Is he casting it on his main phase?
I'm fairly sure, yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, now he's playing a Temple Garden Dispatch on the turn back, so his shields are down. I'm not sure if there's a benefit to casting on the main phase versus not, but we'll see what Tyler's going to plan to do this turn. So he can't activate Drown Yard. He can also cast a Devour Flesh, and you are going to see him do that to take care of the Restoration Angel, and you're going to see a Selesnya Charm here.
I'm still trying to figure out the the main phase
Yeah,
angel.
I don't quite understand the main phase angel either here. Maybe James has some sort of plan that we're not sure.
Is this a cute answer to the Devour Flesh that he knew his opponent had due to the Augur of Bolas? Make a creature in response and sacrifice, you know, crappy knight. Keep your angel.
You see Tyler's hand right
now. And another edict.
Yeah, there's your tribute to Hunger to take care of the Restoration Angel. He also has a Sphinx's Revelation in his hand. He's going to untap. He's going to take a draw step, which is a Hallowed Fountain.
It's a lot of lands, a Revelation. James Scott does not have any counter magic. None whatsoever in his main deck. He's got a couple pieces in his board, but game 1, that Revelation is... As long as Tyler Lytle runs it out there, it will resolve. Tyler Lytle doesn't know that James Scott doesn't have any counter magic, though. So maybe he doesn't run it out there.
And it looks like the reason that a Restoration Angel...
Never mind. Here he comes.
Yeah, there's your Sphinx of Revelation. It looks like the reason the Restoration Angel was cast was because he had 8 cards in his hand. He didn't want to discard.
Oh.
So that makes a little bit more sense to us now. As you do see a large Sphinx of Revelation being resolved here by Tyler. He's going to untap. He's going to draw. Draws an Azorius Charm. He is full of cards.
So now both players have resolved Giant Revelations. And let's start the game over where we start with a bunch of lands in play.
Except for one of them has an Nefaya Drownier and the other does not.
Yes. And one of them is a little better suited, I would say, for such a game. Like, the Bant deck has things like Smiter that really aren't that good, and Verdict. Supreme Verdict, not the best card against the Esper control deck. But yeah, there's the Drown Yard. This is the start of many turns of exactly this.
As you are going to see a Think Twice here from Tyler. He's going to flashback as well. We've seen two Nefaya Drown Yard activations thus far in this game, and if this is going to be a game about playing draw go, this certainly favors Tyler.
These are a bunch of cards.
Quite a bit here, as you see an ultimate price to draw step, a second Nefaya Drown Yard coming into play, and Tyler is even done attacking with the Augur of Bolas, because why attack?
Yeah.
That's not the like total I care about. The like total I care about started at 60, and we're going to whittle it away. As a Farseek for a breeding pool from James, taking one more card out of his deck. Tyler is going to cut that. I think we're going to see 2 Drown Yard activations here. And the Ben Stark Invitational card is indeed getting the job done here.
It is quite good. And game over.
And James clearly understands exactly what's going on here. He concedes almost immediately as he cannot get himself out of this situation. So Tyler Lytle is up a game here with Esper Control. And you have James's deck list in front of you. And besides, he flooded out a little bit there. But he's going to need some cards that actually have an impact in this matchup. Get those Supreme Verdicts out of his deck.
He's definitely got a couple cards to take out. But I'm looking, he actually doesn't have that much to to bring in. He only has 2 pieces of counter magic in the form of 1 Negate and 1 Dissipate. He does have Garruk Primal Hunters, which are just, super high impact cards, must counters, if you will. But the most interesting thing from James Scott is Psychic Spiral.
Oh, do the twist.
Which, if you have Star City Premium, which you should, I did do a video on a match from the Pro Tour.
Shameless self-promotion.
Where Lucas Yaklovsky absolutely walked Wafotapa all around the room and perfectly into his Psychic Spiral. And Wafotapa was playing a deck very similar to Tyler Little's.
It's not easy to take Wafotapa for a walk.
Yeah, it is not. Now, I will say that James's version of this kill is very different. Sure. Because he doesn't have as much counter magic to back it up, and he doesn't have Snapcaster Mages. Now, one of the bigger reasons that the Psychic Spiral kill works is because you don't have to draw it in the blue-white-red deck, or what have you, the Snapcaster Mage deck. Because you can just hold a Snapcaster Mage, and then they're killing you by milling you. They have to hit the Spiral eventually, and then you can Snapcaster it.
True. Hopefully through a Cavern of Souls, too.
Right. And with more counter magic to back it up. James Scott does not have either of those key aspects of that combo, the Snapcaster Mage or the overloading counter magic to back it up. So he is more on a cross your fingers type application. This is probably like a really bad matchup that he couldn't solve easily. And so instead of just scooping it, he's giving himself a chance to win by, and again, those other decks only play 1 Spiral because, you're going to hit it with your Snapcaster. James has 2.
Sure.
Because he actually does need to draw it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
Yeah, let's see if it works out. I mean, as the Esper player, I mean, you see Smiter, maybe you take out some of your counter magic. You still need to counter Revelation, but I don't know, maybe that's the hope. And then you can get them with a Spiral when they tap real low. We'll see.
I mean,
we'll see how it plays out.
The question here for James's deck is, his deck is capable of drawing a lot of cards between, Sphinx Revelation. He has Prime Speaker Zagana. He also has 2 copies of Garrick Primal on his sideboard.
Correct.
So drawing cards is not really going to be that difficult. The question is, the cards that he actually does draw, are they actually going to do anything, or is he just going to draw into more card drawing and then just go, I can't do anything, you win.
Right.
He doesn't have a card like Natalia Dronyard to actually, kind of bust things open. That's where Tyler gets a bit of an advantage. He can add on to his advantage as well from his main deck, where he does have 2 copies of Negate. He also has 2 copies of Duress. So he does have some proactive and reactive effects that he can board in. He also has a Jace Memory Adept, an additional Obsidat if he wants to go that route, a Detention Sphere to clean up anything that does get through, and he does have a Dispel, and more importantly, a Psychic Spiral of his own.
Ooh, so, well, that is unfortunate for James, because even if James gets off the lucky spiral this game, it only works once. Because all Tyler has to do is board in his 1 spiral, and it no longer works.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I guess James only has 1 Snapcaster Mage, so he still could work.
Yeah, but it could work. So we'll see both players looking at their 7 cards here. They're both happy. James is going to lead off with a Breeding Pool. You see a Hollow Fountain here from Tyler. So we are underway here. Glacial Fortress. Sorry, that was a Hinterland Harbor. So there's a Glacial Fortress coming into play tapped. Isolated Chapel into play untapped for Tyler.
This is kind of a glacial matchup.
Yeah, it certainly is. So you're going to see a Farseek here, and Tyler's going to let that resolve. Maybe he does have a Negate in his hand, maybe he doesn't, but either way, he's going to let that one resolve, and I don't think that one's really worth fighting.
Attention Magic players, we are now taking sign-ups for our Legacy Challenge event.
While, min advantage is a thing, and
Legacy format
in these control mirrors, it's more important to always hit your land drops
than
to accelerate, because the game's going to go long. Your mana advantage isn't going to last. What's important is your extended mana advantage throughout multiple turns when you enter the mid game and transition from the mid game to the late game. And that just comes from raw card advantage. Cards like Think Twice, as you see, are actually better than Farseek in these types of matchups.
Because they ensure that you actually do hit your lands and actually are able to fight some spells as well.
Exactly.
Cavern of Souls from James was naming Angel, and now you do see a Loxin on Smiter here.
Why doesn't he counter it?
No reason.
Well,
Tyler flashes back at Think Twice.
It's naming an Angel. Smiter, of course, not counterable, and that is one of the reasons that I would think Tyler might think about boarding out his counter magic, but I think he knows that this is a control mirror. You want all the counter magic you can get, and Smiters and 1 Cavern, it looks like, from James, is not going to be enough to dissuade him from... Wow, is that a Rest in Peace?
Yeah, what you see there is you see a Duress there from Tyler. Tyler's took the Azorius Charm. There was an additional Loxodon on Smiter, a Thragtusk, and 2 Angel Serenities in James's hand. So he's going to come across with this first Smiter here. And Tyler does have a Rusted Piece in his hand,
which blanks the Psychic Spiral plan, but is also a fairly dead card as he's getting beaten down by 4/4s.
Yeah. So if he
Azorius Charm to draw a card, not to bounce a Smiter, which makes me think that he probably has a Supreme Verdict here.
He's going to do something to clear this board up here. He's just going to get beaten down by 4/4 Elephants. So you see a Restoration Angel in his hand right now too, but that does not trade favorably with a Loxodon Smiter. There's an Athalia Drownyard.
That it does not, and it looks like he's got a couple Sphinx's revs. I don't actually think he has the Supreme Verdict, which makes me question that Azorius Charm cycle. Maybe he's digging for the Wrath rather than setting up for it, but I don't know. I think taking a couple turns off from Elephant Beats might have been a good idea there.
Either way, you're going to see an attack here for 8 by James. Going to knock Tyler down to 8, and now James is going to weigh the ramifications of playing this Thragtusk versus holding it. As we know, the other cards in his hand are Angel of Serenity, but he is going to cash the Thragtusk here. And basically, if Tyler is able to find a Supreme Verdict, James is going to be able to keep attacking anyway. So I actually like the casting of this Thragtusk.
And Tyler does let it resolve, even though he does have the Syncopate in hand. I think he knows he needs the Wrath, so he's actually just going to rev for 2, looking for that Supreme Verdict.
And you saw his draw steps there were Syncopate and a Obsidat, and he draws a Hallowed Fountain for the turn. So taking a look at his deck list, he does have 3 Supreme Verdicts in his main deck. You're not going to find any Terminus here. And he does just have a couple copies of, spot removal spells between 4 Azorius Charm and Ultimate Price, 2 Tribute to Hunger, 2 Devour Flesh, and a Murder. But right now, what he needs is a Supreme Verdict, and he doesn't have one.
He does have Big Ghost Daddy, which it looks like he's thinking about casting here. Brings him up to 12, and then he doesn't blink it out and tries to block.
That's kind of interesting, too, because what we saw from Game 1, Tyler won that game fairly easily, and James never really put any real pressure on Tyler, so it wouldn't surprise me if maybe he cut down on a
Boarded out a
Supreme
raft
Verdict, or
and-
maybe chopped down on 2 of them and thought that this wasn't really about creatures and this was about something else. But there's your Obsidat.
Yeah, he easily could have thought that this was a bad draw from a more Cuneo-esque Bant deck rather than this mid-range.
But now Obsidat is here. It is going to hold down the fort, but Angel Serenity is going to clear it out of the way, and you're going to see a lethal attack from those 2 Spiders and a Thragtusk, and James Scott is going to win game number 2.
So let's see if Tyler goes back to his board.
Yeah, that's what I want to see too, if he's going to go back to the drawing board here. See, now he realizes that James has a lot more creatures than I thought he had.
This is not what I expected.
So, he does have 3 Supreme Verdicts in his main deck, and he actually has a 4th one in his sideboard, so we'll see if he decides to move up to 4. Maybe he's happy with 3 and he just didn't draw one. But he's definitely rearranging some things here. As you see, James is already pile shuffling his deck, so he's happy.
Yeah, he knows what his in and outs are, but Tyler Lytle definitely kind of in the dark after game 1, gonna have to readjust. It is interesting that he had like Rest in Peace in his deck. I mean, it really shows that he wasn't quite sure what he was up against.
Yeah, that's just a simple result of not really seeing anything in game 1.
Beating him too easily.
Yeah, it just really kind of crushed him. So, Rest in Peace is the card that you just brought up that maybe Tyler sideboards out now when he...
And then this Psychic Spiral
Yeah, and then the Psychic Spiral
works.
happens, so... James's deck is a little bit erratic because it has different draws it can have. It can have the Loxodon Spider beatdown draw. It can play a little bit more controlling draw with Revelations and the Prime Speakers to draw some cards. It does a couple different things. I wouldn't say that it does either thing incredibly well, but it has the flexibility to be able to do both things kind of okay.
Yeah. I would also say that you kind of have to draw to one of your plans and not the other. Like, if you're on the Smiter beatdown plan and draw a Spiral,
that's awkward.
That's real awkward.
Sure.
But if you're, if you have the Smiter draw, and you back it up with Angel's Thragtusks, and then like Garrick's awesome because he can play both sides, right?
Of course.
Garrick can be the follow-up to the Wrath on the beatdown side, or it can be just an awesome control card. But unlike Garrick and probably Sphinx's Rev, I guess I would put in there. Selesnya Charm, kind of. I don't even know. But I feel like you have to draw the right half of your deck, but not in the terms of a Rock deck drawing the right half of its deck. You have to draw the right half of your deck to your own game plan.
Yeah, and you have to draw at the right time.
Exactly, because he does have 2 distinct paths to victory here, and there's not much overlap.
So James is shuffled up. He's presented, and you saw Tyler go back to his sideboard, considered his options.
He's got the furrowed brow. He's still thinking about it.
Yeah, he's definitely in the tank a little bit here. Game 1 and game 2 played out wildly different.
Yeah.
So he wants to be able to sideboard in such a way that he can kind of hedge his bets, because James' deck does do 2 different things. You saw game 1, you saw a Sphinx of Revelation resolve, you saw a Restoration Angel, and then you saw some milling. And the cards that he turned over, a couple Angel Serenities, he turned over a Prime Speaker Sagana. So I think that Tyler has a pretty good idea of what's going on over there, but he wants to sideboard in such a way that he can hedge on both draws from James's deck. And I think that the Esper deck does have the tools to do that.
I mean, James had so many cards in hand and was like missing, like not playing anything. I mean, he could have been Reanimator missing a color, Like, his range is so wide there. Even though Tyler Lytle milled like 15 cards, nothing was really, besides the Prime Speaker, nothing was really that indicative of exactly what he was doing. And that's because what he's doing is just playing a bunch of sweet cards and sort of doing his thing.
So we see both players who keep their 7 cards. You see some initial land drops here. Tyler has resolved a Think Twice. He's probably going to resolve the back end of it in just a moment. And you're going to see a Loxodon Smiter here from James. So no Farseek for James. But, okay, we're actually going to see a Tribute of Hunger. It's going to take care of that. So Tyler does not want to get beaten down at all here. He wants to have the board clear as long as he possibly can, so he can do things like flashing back Think Twice and just get into the mid to the late game.
He must have been pretty hungry to eat an entire elephant like that.
He's got another one up here.
This might be a good draw. Cavern, and I saw a Garrick in his hand, so this is definitely the Smiter draw.
Yeah.
So this means that every spiral that he peels is basically dead.
Sure. Velocity and Smiter does resolve, of course. Tyler decides not to Devour Flesh and actually wants to increase his velocity by flashing back a Think Twice. And we are going to see the Devour Flesh now on his main phase to take care of that Locked and Smiter. So Tyler 8-1.
Play around the Selesnya Charm trick that James did game 1.
And now there's your breeding pool, and that's coming into play untapped, and now we're going to go for the Garrick. And does this resolve? Is there a negate here? You see a Think Twice in Tyler's hand, and you see an Unpleased Magician, I believe.
Ooh, yeah. Well, this is exactly what James needed to happen.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, a bunch of big threats where he has to answer them, and follow it up with the Garrick is just the perfect top end to your curve. Refuels you, unwrathable, slices, dices.
Yeah, it does it all. It's the slap chop.
It's the slap chop.
There's nothing that Garrick can't do, except for move pink sleeves out of the way and get us some real tokens. As Tyler draws a Dissipate for the turn, and now a negate.
Oh, that is awkward. That is an unfortunate order that those events occurred in for Tyler Lytle.
I am inclined to agree with you. As now, this is, once some things start to slip through the cracks against Esper, things get a little bit more difficult. But,
well, it snowballs so fast.
Yeah, if creatures slip through, it's okay, as you're going to see a Sphinx's Revelation here from Tyler in the main phase.
He has to main phase it because if his Rev gets countered, he just loses.
Yep.
Which means that now James has free reign for a turn. He can peel 3 right here. He can play a Thragtusk and peel 5. He can just make another beast up it. Looks like Thragtusk draw 5.
Thragtusk.
Wow.
Yep, Thragtusk draw 5.
That is quite a turn.
Yeah, and this is the thing that the Esper deck never wants to happen. Of course, Esper doesn't want, Esper can deal with threats in play because they have Supreme Verdict. But it's the combination now of having so many cards, having to deal with a Planeswalker, having to deal with threats in play, attacking from multiple angles of attack, and that Cavern of Souls kind of looming there, kind of making counter magic bad as well.
Yeah.
This is where the Esper deck gets in trouble. It never wants to be in the situation because it really can't catch up from here. One of the few cards that you can actually catch up with here is a card that Ben Stark played at Pro Tour Montreal, which was Planar Cleansing. But again, you have to actually be able to beat the cards that are in the opponent's hand now, too, and James has so many.
Well, that's the thing about Garrick is it forces such a specific sequence to be able to deal with it that, you're going to be tapping so low. Well, first of all, it's unlikely that you're even going to be able to deal with it a lot of the time. And even if you do end up dealing with it, you're going to have to tap low, you're going to have to invest a lot of resources into killing just this one spell, and, they either are getting beasts out of it, or a bunch of cards, or both. It's a card advantage machine in that single-handedly attacks from 3 different angles. It's a Planeswalker that's hard to kill, it creates creatures every turn that are fuse threats, and it can just draw a million cards.
And now you're going to see a Witchbane Orb here that Tyler has to negate. He has to counter that. Dissipate takes care of that negate. So now Witchbane Orb is in. So now Tyler is in a world of trouble.
He cannot be Drownyarded or Duress or Edicted. We have 4 Edicts in this Esper build. 4. 2 Devour Flesh and 2 Tribute to Hunger. Those no longer work.
Now James quickly untaps after Tyler displays a land and says go. Knows that he's in the driver's seat now. Here come the Beast tokens.
Planar Cleansing. Oh, why? Why, oh, why?
Yeah, Planar Cleansing, a card that, again, Ben Stark played, I believe there was 1 copy in his main deck. There may have been 2 looming throughout his 75, but you see now exactly why that card was in there, because it is a beautiful catch-all that can get, an Esper deck out of this situation. Would it win him the game? That's debatable, but would it get him back into the game? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, Tyler's, he's set up exactly where Esper wants to be, except for James has all these permanents, right? He's got a ton of lands in play, a ton of cards in hand, and a Sphinx's Revelation to refill after everything is, exchanged. You trade down, but there's no clean answer to everything that's happening. It doesn't matter how many cards you draw if you are at 0 life.
And that's why I don't play blue.
Well, just play Planar Cleansing and then draw it, and then cast it, and then resolve it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that easy.
But we have the privilege of having Tyler's deck list in front of us, and you know we don't want to pronounce the game over by any point because it is Magic. Anything can happen. But without a Planar Cleansing looming in this deck list, it seems like it's going to be very, very difficult for him to win.
Yeah, the sequence that is going to have to occur is some sort of. Is there a Detention Sphere, Oblivion Ring type effect?
A Detention Sphere,
There's
one in the
sphere
sideboard.
in the board. All right. Well, that's probably in his deck, right? He didn't want to get beat down by Smiters, so he could theoretically Wrath Sphere. You know, Supreme Verdict Detention Sphere, or
An update on the ice cream. He's apparently out, but he's getting more. If you wanted to get free ice cream, I'll check back in with him in about
quite
15
an
minutes.
announcement.
Yeah, apparently there's free ice cream being given away.
We're so
just one of the
stupid.
many things that happens at our tournaments as one of my directors is actually eating some in front of me now. So that's very nice of you, Jonathan.
Another sequence that could theoretically help him out here is like a Restoration Angel to attack Garrick, or like Wrath Angel.
Yep.
I don't know. These are the types of things that are going to happen. And look at that. It's spot removal spell, Angel block.
So Angel's going to be able to jump in front of one of those beast tokens.
Definitely fighting back.
Yeah,
and Azorius Charm here would be awful.
Yeah. A Smiter and 2 beast tokens are going to get through. And you can see in James's hand, he does have an Angel Serenity there. He also has a Restoration Angel. Of course, he has drawn at least 5 extra cards because of that Garrick Primal Hunter. So we'll see what avenue he looks to take with his hand now, as his hand looks to be mostly spells here. And he is going to start by making a beast token.
It's so sick. It's, you know, you're a turn behind, your Angel can't kill the Garrick.
But you have to attack it.
Yeah, you're down to 4 cards, but you don't have time to rev and refill because you're gonna die.
And there's an Azorius Charm.
You know, it's rough. It's a rough spot.
And we see an Obsidat drawn for the turn.
Obsidat.
Drowned Catacombs move towards the front of Tyler's hand. He's certainly going to make his land drop. You see a Syncopate, you see a Sphinx's Rev there as well. He definitely has some good cards in his hand, but he can't unload them fast enough.
Can I just say I've been very unimpressed with Syncopate in pretty much every deck we've seen it in today?
Yeah, Syncopate has not really been all that impressive
It's
this
just
weekend.
not very efficient.
You know, I know that Roberto Gonzalez played that card to a 9th place finish at Pro Tour Montreal, and you know he kind of sung its praises. And I think that was a situation where I think a lot of people just kind of forgot that Syncopate actually existed.
If you don't play around it.
Yeah, and you know you can certainly catch people off guard when people just forget that Syncopate exists. But I think that it's been brought back to the forefront of people's minds that like Syncopate is a card and it's a very situational counterspell.
Yes.
And we have not seen the situation arise yet where it's been good. Now we might walk ourselves into one here, because he might be able to grab an Angel Serenity with it, as we see a Restoration Angel here on the end step. But it has been definitely unimpressive thus far, as you see a Negate drawn for James's turn.
So I was actually...
There's your 7 mana, there's your Angel Serenity through a Cavern of Souls, and you see a handshake. James Scott does win the match 2-1 with Prime Speaker Bant over Tyler Lytle playing Esper Control.